Our contributions in education will be our legacy in this industry.
Whether it's through live education or maybe through social media, we're always trying to make a personal connection with you, the learner.
At Sanvia, we believe our smile is our business card and our personality is our logo. And how we make people feel after you experience our education and tools is our trademark.
Join us.
Join us.
Join us.
Join us, my friends, and be a part of the Sanvia community.
Hi friends, Andrew Carruthers, Education Director for Sanvia. Welcome to another episode of Cabin Fever. And we realized that maybe it's kind of time to actually change the title of this show because there's a lot of you that are back to work. But don't worry, we're going to keep doing this kind of content for you starting in July. We're going to start to shift around the schedule to make sure that we have content for you during times that are a little easier to get to with busy salon schedules. So keep an eye out for all of that. Today, I'm excited because we get to talk about something that I think people get a little caught up in it being too esoteric to approach. And my guest is going to really simplify this concept, really bring it into focus and how it can support us, especially in these challenging times where our energy is just being pulled in so many different directions. We need to learn how to protect our energy so that we can continue being a great part of the solution to the challenges we're seeing. So, without any further ado, please, everyone, welcome my friend, Mary Wilson. Hi, Mary.
Hi, Andrew. It's great to be here.
It's great to have you. And, you know, as Mary and I started to talk about today, we started to talk about chakra work. So, first, give them a little bit about you and your background, because I'm sure quite a few people know who you are because you've been part of our industry for quite a while. But I'm sure they'd love to know just a little bit more about you. And then tell us, just give us a little intro into the topic of today.
Okay. Absolutely. So good morning, good afternoon to all of you. As Andrew said, I have been in the beauty industry for over 30 years. And in that time, I mastered a lot of the things that we all love about hair and teaching. And I found myself about 15 years ago struggling with that being all, right? So the exterior beauty connecting with the interior self, and then also just being able to find out ways to manage stress. And I partnered with our friend Anne Mincy Jaton, and we created a retreat around her book, which is called Get Glowing. And at the time that she wrote the book, we happened to be at this event together. And I said, what would you think about creating an experience around what the steps that you have in the book for creating a more balanced life? And she said, that would be amazing. I wouldn't know how to do that. And I said, well, I would love to do that part of it. And so flash forward 15 years, in that time, we have always done the same curriculum. And at first we actually had someone come in and guest teach yoga. And we only did that the very first time because what we found was that person's energy was different than ours. And it sort of shifted the experience that our guests were having and that we had built up to with this intimate environment. And so I said, well, what do you think if I just start sharing my own yoga practice? And, I'm not certified in yoga at the time, but I'm just going to say that this is my practice and I'd like to share it with you. And then about 10 years later, I decided it was time to get certified in yoga, to learn more, to take a deeper dive into that. And I also, in that time, started to explore more what is energy and how do we experience the energy of others, of all things, and then how do we maintain that? How do we maximize that? And did start studying the chakra system. And I had to study it multiple times over and over. At first, I could not remember. I'm like, what color is that goes with that? And what is associated with that? So if this is new to you today, just listen, sort of take it in, and then think about how we can all work hard to restore our energy. And so I'm excited to share that with you today. And then also just talk about what is going on in the world and how we're either aware of how we're reacting to it or we are not aware. And so how we can develop a greater awareness and protect our energy.
Cool. And we've got people from all over the country and joining us. We've got Oregon, New Jersey, DC. We've got people from the UK, Indonesia.
Awesome.
Oh, this one, I wish I knew how to say your name, my friend. I think it's Painty or Painty, but joins us every week from Indonesia. That's awesome.
Very cool.
And we have Italiano in the house too,
All
Domenica. Right. Cool. So, and we got PA too, my old hometown, or Pennsylvania, Lori. So, yeah, let's kind of also just quickly talk about, because I think sometimes these kinds of subjects, people kind of go like, well, that's a little woo-woo, that's a little spiritually out there. Like, talk just to what is practical about studying something like this?
So what is practical about studying something like this is the understanding. And it really does start with that. So you either believe that your thoughts and emotions are connected to yourself physically, or you don't, right? So, for example, I would say that there are people who just go through the world and they're in their head, and everything that they do and everything that they think about is based on what they think and the logic, and they're not even connected to their body. So part of it is just being in your body and grounded, and then thinking about, wow, how does that make me feel? So you really have to get to that place where you start to connect with that first. So it's studying something doesn't necessarily, and that's what's interesting, like you just said, you might not even believe it, but as you start to read and you start to learn more about this, then you start to see those connections, right? So it's the grounding to the earth, and it's the lifting up to something that is greater than us. So whatever that is for you, if it's God or it's Buddha or it's Mother Earth or it's energy, it's knowing that we are one and not separate, and then also that we can receive energy. Everything is energy. And so thinking about, like, let's say that when you're going for a walk and you go for a walk on a sidewalk that roots have pushed up from a tree. So thinking about how something that looks completely solid can be over time lifted by the growth of something else. And that every matter and material is in fact energy and can create energy, and that we are the same. So I feel like it really gives us power to understand it more and to learn more about it.
Yeah. I'm kind of like, I always say I'm kind of somewhere in the middle of like modern science and like full on just, I'd love to just go live in the mountains somewhere and just, sit on the mountainside and meditate. But I live somewhere in the middle for sure. And what I think is really important is to recognize that it's not this or that. It can be both, because now science is really hard proving so many of the things that the esoteric wisdom traditions taught hundreds or thousands of years ago, actually, at this point. Yes. So, it's not just kind of woo-woo spiritually stuff. Like this actually has scientific background to it at this point. And especially if you dig into things like quantum physics. I mean, quantum physics shows that there isn't a thing that exists in our world that is not moving energy. Doesn't matter how solid it looks from the outside, it is still moving particles of energy. So if that doesn't tell you something, I don't know.
It's pretty cool, isn't it? Yeah,
It's
and
awesome.
Any kind of energy can shift or change. someone else's energy. So as we talk about this today, we think about our interface with clients. We think about our interface with the people that we love the most. I laugh because I always say the person that I have the least amount of patience for is my husband. So it's like, what are you working on? I'm like, my relationship with my husband, being more patient, being a better listener, so there's always that. I think hopefully we bring our best selves to the world, and maybe we're not our best selves in our private lives, and so making sure that we have that balance.
Totally. All right, let's jump in, because I know you have a lot of content that you want to share with us, so let's head right into it.
Let's get started. Okay, so you can go to the next slide. Yeah.
Maybe. There we go.
Okay, so as you can see in this picture, like, this woman really depicts, I think, where we're all at today. We're saying, oh my gosh, and hold on a second, right? So we're coming out of this COVID time where we maybe were able to take a breath and do some practices that connect us with ourselves, or maybe we spent that time stressed out about what's going to happen and when can I get back to work and how am I going to manage things financially. And so what's happening now is that we're going back into salons, back into the workplace, and we have clients that might be seeing us for the very first time. We might be the first person they're seeing as they're coming out into the world. And so we are then dealing with their emotions. We're dealing with troubled times in America in regards to how we interact with our feelings about racial divides, and people are out protesting, and that causes anxiety as well. So when we turn on the news in the morning, if we turn on the news in the morning, some people say, I'm not turning on the news in the morning, but we still need to know what's going on in the world. So being able to, one of the techniques that I learned years ago is, if I find myself getting elevated when I'm watching the news, is I try to breathe with those people. I try to be present for them. So this goes back to that energy is everywhere, and we can send our energy to other people. And if nothing else, we can breathe and try to be at peace with them and take those deep breaths that connect us to them. And at the same time, calming ourselves in the same way. So how are you feeling right now? So everyone just take a moment and think about maybe what brought you with us today, what you would like to improve about how you're feeling. And we're going to go through some ways to be able to take a pause and get back into your body, connect with the breath, and be able to restore your energy. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. So there's lots happening in the world. And at the same time, we're responsible for ourselves. And if we can project a calm demeanor to others, then they will get that feeling of energy. If we receive their negative energy and we pile it on top of how our anxiety might be, then it's going to just be worse. So today we're going to learn to understand those thoughts, emotions, and feelings, and then some quick tips as well for maintaining your positive energy through the day.
Yeah. And if you go back about 2 weeks on this, what is this thing called? Cabin Fever. If you go back 2 weeks on Cabin Fever, Anne was actually on the show with us, and she was teaching about the heart math principles and how what we radiate definitely goes out into the world and it has an effect on what's around us. So we definitely have that ability to shape our environment.
Yes, and I would highly recommend going back and watching that too, because it's an excellent broadcast. So I broke this down into 3 areas. So we can protect ourselves before we enter. So we're going to talk as if everyone is working in a salon, because that's the majority of our audience. But this could be getting out of your car to go into your office, whatever that looks like for you. If you get to interact with other people in your work. So before work, what you want to do is clear yourself so that you are available. So that's the 3 A's of before work, are making yourself available. Now, what does that mean? It means clearing out any thoughts or emotions, or maybe you had an argument, or you know, had to clean up after the dog, or you know, put one blue shoe on and one black shoe on that morning. So sometimes we have a difficult time. And so making yourself available is removing all of those things. So that could just be with the breath, just telling your brain to stop so that you're then open. And then the next is just having the attitude of gratitude. So Annie talked about that too. And also the attitude of anticipation and expectation for a great day. So this kind of speaks to how we talk to ourselves, right? So we can tell ourselves that each person on the books is going to be difficult and challenging, and it's going to be really hard, and I have to wear the mask, and it's going to be an exhausting long day. Or we can tell ourselves, I have great opportunities today to interact with people, create beautiful hair, make lots of money. Whatever that looks like for you, if you find yourself having those negative thoughts, to be able to shift them into more positive thoughts. And then that you're armed. And so what I mean by armed is that you can actually perhaps build like a shield around yourself, an energetic shield that protects your energy. And we are gonna talk more about that. So you're armed with the tools that are gonna help you be 100% that day. And connecting and clearing your chakras is one of those ways. So during the day, so now we all have to cleanse and we have to sanitize between clients, and you can do the same thing for yourself as well. So we're going to talk about that in the 3 C's, but in the B's, watching that you have those deeper breaths, breathing, even wearing a mask. I have found, and again, many of you probably have a lot more experience with this, but breathing in and out slowly through your nose is much better than breathing in through your nose and out through your mouth and then having that stale air in the mask. So very much like in yoga, we want to breathe in through the nose and then slowly out through the nose, or kind of even compressing the back of the throat. So if you do practice yoga, anything that slows down the breath is going to be better for your overall health, wellness, and also your heart rate. Take breaks when you can. A lot of people are saying, stylists that I've talked with are saying, I can get outside. Some salons have put outside seating in the back area just for the stylist so that they can have that break and remove the mask and be peaceful by themselves, or they're going to their car. So if you're going to your car, make it pretty, right? Clean it up. Don't get into your car and be surrounded by junk and food bags and whatever that looks like for you. When you next get into your car, look around and say, is this a peaceful place for me to hang out? And then the ability to just be. So when we say this, it's about being present in that moment, to be there for that client. And then the next steps sort of help us understand how important that is. So that's what I was talking about before, of not carrying the energy throughout the day, but being able to really be present for each of those clients. So how do we do that? So between clients, you now have to cleanse your station. Maybe someone's doing that for you. Maybe you're doing it for yourself, depending on the salon you're in. And so being able to cleanse your energy is sort of doing that scan from head to toe and releasing the energy of the previous person. So again, with the breath, connecting with yourself, grounding, both feet flat on the floor, maybe stretching your arms up overhead. So getting a little bit of physical movement, and then being able to then release that. So contain is the ability to contain your own energy and protect that. So if you think about the length of the day that you do have, that you're not going in there all crazy and excited and for the first couple of clients, and then you're out of energy for the next client. So kind of creating that pace where you can contain your energy based on the kind of day that you have. And then communicate. So communicate is connected to the end of the day. Maybe this is with a fellow stylist. Maybe this is with the salon manager. And that's the person that you want to share how you're feeling. That's the person that you want to complain to about having to wear the mask and all the things that we have to do, and then be able to release that as you go home and spend time with your family.
Yeah, for sure. And, you know, I would just kind of add, I think that's such an essential piece that sometimes I think we're afraid to speak up a little bit and just share with people like, hey, man, that was rough. Like, that was gnarly. Because we're afraid to be seen as weak or seen as this or seen as that. And I think you have to recognize that everyone is feeling those feelings too. So kind of creating a culture of that open communication where it's not about like complaining and, you know, bringing each other down. It's more just having a space where it's like, whew, man,
yeah,
can I get some stuff out of my head for a second? Are you cool with that? Like, and then like do the same with me. And just getting that stuff out sometimes is that feeling of like, okay,
exactly.
shed it.
Yeah, and it becomes it makes you feel better too. It's like, okay, it's not just me. Like you said, like people think I've got to go in there with my armor on and pretend like everything is great and normal, and it might not be. Right. And so collaborating with friends, collaborating with fellow staff will help you. So as long as you said, it doesn't become a complaint session, but it really becomes an opportunity to just share. And then, like we said, then remove it. So it's like have some kind of symbolic, okay, now we're going to both go like this and push it away or put it into the wastebasket or, you know, crumple it up, write down a piece of paper, crumple it up and throw it away and release it so that you can maximize your energy for the next day.
Yeah. Both in Aikido and in Shadow Yoga, we have a process where you actually, you usually do it with the arms down, but I'll do it with the arms up so you can see, but literally kind of like working the energy up to the surface. And
oh, I love that.
And then it feels so good. It feels so good.
Yeah. So I just do that with my thoughts and emotions, but I really like the physical too. Yeah. That's awesome. And that is something that could be done between clients too. A forward fold, you know, so that you can just so whenever you're when you forward fold, you're extending your spine, but you're also you're getting your head below your heart. So it just gives you kind of that refreshing, you know, and then rolling back up is awesome too. Yeah.
Cool.
Okay. Let's go to the next slide. So we talked about this, but clearing between each client with breath and energy work. And so taking that moment, whether you get to step outside or even if you're just, you know, standing there or you can have a seat in a chair and always just making sure that everything is open. So you put both your feet flat on the floor and then just doing that breath work. So breathing in deeply. Sometimes it helps if we put your one hand on your chest and one hand on your stomach so you can feel your abdomen expanding. And then as you exhale, you might even want to do a few neck rolls. This morning in yoga, we were doing some neck work and I was like, oh my gosh, I need to do this every day. So, you know, we did the tension that exists in our necks is, for me, it's pretty intense. So it's something good. And then rolling your shoulders back, right? So just rolling your shoulders back, trying to place them closer to each other in the back, and then just kind of maintain that posture. So energy kind of runs up and down. And so that's part of it too, as we think about our posture, because when we're working behind the chair or working at a computer, this is the sort of shape that we have. So we want it to be more opening. And then, okay, so being a screen door and letting stories and energy of clients wash through. So we were talking about a couple of things I've been seeing. I'm in lots of different chat rooms and Facebook groups with owners and stylists. And one of the things that a lot of people are saying is that they're getting overwhelmed, super tired of all of the politics. And of course, we're coming up on an election season. We're in an election season and all the other things that are distracting from that. So what do you do when their opinions or their thoughts and their feelings about what's happening in the world are completely polarized from what you think and how you feel? So the best way to do that is to not necessarily agree, but you can nod your head, not say anything, so that it just encourages them to keep talking, unless someone specifically asks you what you think. And then the best thing to say is, I'd rather not talk about politics. I'd love to talk about your hair, or divert the conversation to hair and care. And be that screen door. So instead of receiving that or taking it in or say, you know, how could this person be talking like that? And how, you know, what would make them think that I would agree with them? So see how we can take what people say and we can internalize it, or we can be that screen door and just let it go right through, right? So if you think about you're on the porch and you want that nice cool breeze or warm breeze to come through the screen, and that we can be that too. So don't let it hit you. Annie talked in Heart Math too about how the stylist to client relationship is right from head to heart. And so sometimes we want to protect our heart, and instead we want to have that open heart. So Haley Gregory, who is a new friend of mine and is carrying Wilson Collective in her salon in Tennessee, she said what she does with her clients is she's talked about all the education and all the things that she learned during the shutdown, and how excited she is to share that with them, and how excited she is to take her education and turn it into beautiful hair for them. And she really keeps the conversation on hair and the personal care for the client, and that's really worked well for her. So
cool.
Yeah.
It's this is going to be a tough one. This is going to be a tough time to keep the energy in the salon up, especially like you said, if you have someone sitting in your chair that you have different political views, especially as we get closer to this election, it's going to get tough. So I think one of the things that we always taught our staff to is set the tone from the first comment.
Yes.
One of the worst things you can do, guys, is have them sit down and say, so how are you doing? Because that honestly just opens it up. And you have those clients. Some clients will be like, oh, you know what? Like, this hasn't been that bad. It's been okay. But you have those other clients, they're going to be like, well, can you believe this? And I mean, I am so
with this, right?
Yeah, set up the conversation in the right way. As the client sits down, like, oh wow, I'm so happy to see you. Like, I'm so excited to have this really positive time with you.
Right.
We've also talked about maybe even putting like a sign out front that says something fun, like, this is a COVID-free zone. That means we don't even want to talk about it. Let's talk about good things today. Like you can have some fun with it to like set the conversation in the right direction from the get-go.
Yeah, I love that. COVID-free, politics-free. I've seen people say that too. Please leave your politics at the door. And we love everyone. So just state that, you love and care about everyone, and that everyone is welcome, and that those are things, you don't have to say those are things we don't want to talk about, but you're right. You do set the tone. My friend Patty Mead said that they are coming up with like really cool questions to ask too. So again, positive. So you might say to your client, what was the most wonderful thing that you learned about yourself during the shutdown? So you don't say what's something you learned about yourself, because like you said, then that could be something negative, right? So hopefully everyone has come out of this with at least one positive thing about themselves that then can set the tone for that exchange of energy. So when they leave, they have gorgeous hair and they're like, oh, I feel so much better having spent that time with my stylist. I need some water.
Yeah, go ahead. And one of the things that we used to teach, like at Palm Mitchell School, we would always kind of teach this in our culture classes of using that, we called it forward focused language. What's the best thing that happened to you today? What's great about your time away from work? And the response that we often got, Mary, was that, well, that just seems awkward. Like, it feels weird. And so our response to that is like, okay, we'll say that, because that takes the awkwardness off. You can just say, I know this might come across as a weird question, but what was the best thing that happened to you during this time away from work?
And that speaks to
people
what
will kind of like, oh, well, yeah, that is kind of an odd question, but yeah, let's talk about that.
And the sad part is that they find it odd because that shows that their thoughts are more either neutral or negative instead of positive. So shifting the way that we think and looking for the good things and focusing on those instead of looking for the negative things and focusing on those.
Right.
Simple, but not easy.
For sure.
Yeah. All right. So let's start talking about the chakra.
I'm so excited about this.
You can see by this beautiful picture that there's color involved here, and you can kind of see the energy of the color. So what the chakra energy system, this is an ancient Hindu system of belief and understanding that has been passed down through the years, through primarily through yoga and through yogis. And as you said, there's also a lot of science around the connection to it. So the key factor is that, as we were talking about in our introduction, that we are all made up of energy. So one of the ways that I like to look at it is that something that's much more American or much more modern is that if each one of us were our own energy plant. So you know how you'll see the corners where you see the electrical exchange station, and then the lightning hits and part of that is shut down, but maybe not the whole thing is shut down. So some people have power, some people don't have power, and they want to get back and they want to restore the 100% power to that substation. And so our chakra system is the same. We are each our own power center, and we can be at 100% power and energy, or we can be 0. So 0 would be death, right? So, and in all seriousness, I have a friend right now that is within days of passing away from cancer. And so energetically, I have seen him deteriorate. Physically, I've seen him deteriorate. And a few days ago, he said to his wife, I feel like I'm disappearing. And that he is disappearing, right? And so that as people are very close to dying, all of these actually shut down. So that's the far extreme other side. However, what can happen is that some of these areas can be blocked or shut down, and we don't actually know it. And if we believe, and I do, that our thoughts and emotions are connected to how our energy flows, then each of these are connected to different thoughts and emotions and parts of the body. So that's what we're going to walk through. So how we feel about what happens in our lives, how we feel about what happens to us is more important here than what actually happens. Okay, and we're going to talk more about that as we walk through each of the different chakras. So as I was talking about that, you might have thought, well, gosh, maybe, I don't know. Like, I feel like there might be some areas, and we're going to go through each of them and you'll have a better understanding of this. I used to have an essential oil company, and we did essential oils for chakras and crystals that were paired with that. And so we found this was created by a guy in Holland, and it's www.eclecticenergies.com. And it's actually a 56 question online quiz that you take, and you answer questions about where you're at in your life right now. So how do you feel about everything that's happened in your life? And they're all random questions. You don't know which ones are connected to which chakra. And once you complete it and you submit the quiz, it actually gives you back a graph and percentages, and it tells you if you are blocked or if you are open. So it's a super, it's fun, it's cool. And I will tell you that for years, I was working on opening one particular chakra, and I would keep taking the quiz. I would say, oh, I'm going to take it again. I'm going to answer the questions differently because I thought I could challenge the quiz. And every time it came up, that's what I needed to work on. So it's a really cool way to check in with yourself. And then, as you start to do some of this work, check in with yourself again in 6 months and see where you come out. It's free. It's a lot of fun. And there's also information in there as well.
Yeah. And I'll make sure I apologize, Mary. I actually was messing around with your slides, and I forgot to put the links into the description on the Facebook and YouTube videos. So if you're watching and you want to come back, and we'll have links to Mary, we'll have links to this all in the description on the Facebook and YouTube page.
Awesome. Okay, let's go to the next slide then and talk about the chakra energy system. So as you can see on the slide here, the list is at the crown, but we're actually going to start at the bottom in the root chakra. So each of these are energetic planes, and each of these relate to certain things that are happening in our lives and certain parts of our body physically. So you'll see some of those things listed. You don't necessarily need to read them, but they could be a reference point for you later too, since it's hard to remember all this stuff. So we're going to start with the root chakra, which is the color red. So right now, most of us, at least over the last 3 months, have probably had our root chakra completely rocked. And that is because the root chakra has to do with everything in the physical world relating to our financial situation, our family, where we live, what we surround ourselves with. So as I'm kind of decorating my office, the things that I put around me are connected as well to the root chakra. So what we see and how we find ourselves in the world. The root chakra is connected to having roots to the earth, right? So getting outside, connecting with nature, those are ways that we can stay grounded, because we all need to stay present in our bodies and not just be out there. And all of these things, and it also has to do with fear. So if you have irrational fears or fears of being chased or fears of being attacked, safety fits in here. So the root chakra is a lot of factors. And one great example I can give you too is I live in California, and let's say that everything is going along great and I feel stable, and then we have an earthquake, right? So an earthquake, of course, would be something that would impact our root chakra. So it's kind of funny that it's a shift in the earth or any kind of storm or nature threat. That would be something that would threaten our safety, that would threaten our connection to earth. It's also tribal here. So everything that's going on in regards to Black Lives Matter and how we see each other and how we're treating each other as humans, that is tribal in this area. So you can look at hundreds of years or our closest group of friends. And as we expand that out, how we feel about our community. All of that fits into the root chakra. So it's likely that you might be not so balanced here, right? So the ways to rebalance the root chakra, as I said before, get out into nature. Essential oils such as vetiver, anything that's really woodsy, earthy, really grounding. Wear the color red. Make sure that you're keeping that connection to earth and that you're bringing yourself into your body. In yoga, we even visualize that we can grow roots out of our feet and down into the earth. And as all those roots come together, how in the center, we're all connected to each other. So that's helping with that sense of community. Just feeling, just knowing that mantras such as all is well, and whatever I need, I will receive. So this goes back to our understanding. Do we come from a place of want and that there's not enough and we have to hold tight what we have? Or do we believe that the earth is plentiful and will give us what we need? So connecting and reinforcing in those areas are all around the root chakra. If we are not grounded, if we are not connected in the root chakra, things like knees giving us trouble. I twisted my ankle the other day, went on a hike, and I'm like, oh, I guess I need some black tourmaline, which is because I'm not grounded. So what happens when our root chakra isn't solid is we're not balanced, right? So physically that can manifest in ankles, knees, hips. So even just kind of shifting side to side and thinking, do I often put all of my weight on one hip or the other? So being grounded is having that solid balance from your hips on down to the ground, and then feeling that connection to the earth. So be careful if you aren't feeling grounded, because you might trip. You might twist your ankle. You might find that you're starting to have some of those aches and pains in that lower area. So having the root chakra is always where we start. So if I'm working with someone that is trying to open up these energy fields, we have to start in the root, because it's like the foundation of the house. You can't build a house without first having the foundation.
Yeah. And one thing you can do just real quick, guys, to just experience this, even if you just bring your focus to the base of your perineum, is the technical term. If you bring your focus to there, you'll actually feel your legs kind of turn on. You'll actually feel them gain some kind of power. Mm-hmm. And it's really cool. I'll just bring attention to things. You'll feel those areas turn on. It's really neat.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, good. Really, really good. And so much of it is just that awareness, right? And then connecting the breath to all is well. Like if you have anxiety and you don't know where it's coming from, or you have fears, it's like, look around you, ground in the fact that all is well in this present moment. If that's all you can hang on to, then that's what you want to hang on to. Okay, so the sacral chakra. So the sacral chakra has to do with our sexual, sensual, our feelings about whether or not we are attractive. Also, creativity lives here. So if you don't feel like you're a very creative person, or you don't feel as creative as you used to be, it could be connected to this sacral chakra. So if we are not feeling good about ourselves in that way, then we might have issues with our reproductive organs. We might have like cysts on our ovaries. We might have a hard time getting pregnant. So these things are all in that yellow energy, or sorry, orange energy realm there with the sacral chakra. And then some of our internal organs are connected there too. And so a blockage there stops that energy from coming up through the root and moving its way up. And so things that we can do there is we can release any feelings of guilt about old relationships. They talk about deeper dive would be cutting cords to people that might still have some connection to us there, whether it be a romantic relationship or some kind of connection. Addiction lives in this realm too. So being able to release any addictions that you have, but seeing ourselves as the beautiful human that we are in all of our glory and all of our faults, but really being able to accept that you are and can be an attractive human being lives all in this sacral area, and that you have value that you can share, which connects back to the creativity. So when I was younger, I thought I was very, I would consider myself structured and a good teacher, but not very creative. Whereas if you know my husband, Philip Wilson, he can get on a stage and create a haircut, and we would get off stage. I'm like, when did you create that? And he's like, I just did when I was up there. Right? So for me, I would have to, know exactly what I was going to do on stage. And so I didn't see myself as creative. And this was the area that I had blockage in my sacral chakra. And I had in my 20s, cysts on my ovaries. I had some cancer cells removed. So I know this stuff works because this is what I experienced. The only physical issues I've ever had in my life have been in that area. And every time that I would early on study this and take this quiz, the sacral chakra was blocked. So I'm like, I got to keep working on opening that up. And so all of these, if this is the challenge for you, is that this is where you'd want to spend some time focusing on. Okay, so then we're going to move up to right kind of between the your lower part of your ribs. And this is going to be your solar plexus chakra. So solar plexus is connected to our sense of self and our sense of purpose. And so do we see that we're living our best life, that we're connecting with our true self? So that would be that burning back of your heart, back of your subconscious mind. If money wasn't an option, I would do this with my life. Or this is what would really give me joy, would be to serve people in this way. So connecting with that sense of purpose and that sense of self. Now, what lives here and could get blocked here is if you have a codependent relationship with someone. So let's say someone that you feel like they wouldn't be okay if it wasn't for you, that you're their lifeline and you take care of them. Or the other way around, you're still dependent on someone to support you in your life, whether it be a parent or it be a former spouse, or so everything around your life is dependent on someone else. You may find that you have this solar plexus area blocked energy there. So really opening up to your true self and connecting in that way. And then we move up to the heart. So the heart, as Annie said, is the center of everything. We can, place our hands over our heart and you can feel your heartbeat throughout your body, which is another really cool practice to just focus on the heart, feel it in your hands, feel it in your feet, and your heart begins to swell. And so what happens here is that The heart is the center of it all. So everything in that lower, below the heart, is our earth-based chakras, and everything above it is our more spiritual. And again, it still is affected. So the perfect example here of someone who shuts down their heart is someone who feels like, I've put myself out there and I got rejected, or I got hurt, I gave too much, I didn't get anything back. I'm just going to build that wall, and I'm going to protect my heart. And of course, there's a deep sadness in that, because if your heart isn't open, not only are you not going to have relationships with other people because you won't allow for that, but also you can impact your own overall health. It can make you kind of close in. So not only people who have their heart blocked aren't going to have their shoulders back and, their chin up. They're going to kind of be more like this, right? So it eventually kind of affects our body too, because we think physically we have to protect our heart. You can have heart disease here. You can have lung disease here by not just keeping that heart open. And the way to do that is to know, again, that you have capacity for unlimited love. And this isn't just relationship love or romantic love. This is having that openness of love to everyone. I grew up in a family where we didn't say I love you all the time. And now I'm in a family where we say I love you all the time. And I say it to all of my friends. And I even say it to people that I haven't known very long, but I have love for them. And so being more open to having more love and knowing that it's not also like the root chakra, it's not an unlimited supply. This is the place that keeps growing. So the more that you share, and that this is also a great place where you can think about not having expectations, right? So whatever we give, whatever we put out there, we can't expect something to come back. So that's another way. Sometimes people have an overactive. So if you take that 56 question, I don't remember how many questions it is, quiz on the eclectic energy, you might see that you have an overactive area. And this is one of the areas that you don't want to be overactive, because the overactive heart means that you're just so much giving perhaps from the heart that you're not allowing the regeneration of your other energy fields, right? So it's everything is heart, but physically they're struggling because they don't eat right and they don't take care of themselves and they don't exercise, and things that are connected more to the earthly chakras below. So heart is really important. It's the color green. I always thought that heart should be red. So that was one of the things that was hard for me when I was learning. But the color green, which is this beautiful glow that comes right out of the heart. Okay, and then we move up to the throat chakra. So the throat chakra is right about here, and it's this gorgeous turquoise color. And as we talk about the throat chakra, this is a really simple one, but it's also really important. This is connected to how we see ourselves being heard and being understood. Right. So there's two very different things there. Do we feel like when we speak, we're able to be clear? Do we feel that when we put our words together and they come out, that we sound relatively intelligent, heartfelt? Is the intention that we have behind our thought what comes out of our mouth when we speak? So that's one. And then the second part that's connected to the throat chakra is, do we feel heard and understood, right? And again, especially with our most significant person in our life, like sometimes I literally will say, I know I'm talking, but are you listening? So is it what I'm saying, or am I not getting the engagement? I'm not getting the heart engagement. But that feeling that maybe when you speak, people don't listen. And that can cause people to shut down that throat chakra. So that's when people say, you know what, I'm just not going to say anything at all. Right. And just how, again, dangerous that is. So this is also where listening lives too, though. So we don't always have to be the person talking. So taking pause and being able to better articulate what we want to say is also here in this throat chakra. So people who feel that they're not being heard, or people who feel like their voice is not valuable or valued and don't speak up, could create thyroid issues. They could create, throat cancer, difficulty swallowing, just coughing a lot, having kind of that nagging cough. So keeping that focus on how we can know that we are practicing meditating on it, or really just like stopping and thinking before we speak will help to clear the throat chakra.
Yeah. I don't want to interrupt you too much, because I know we're going to start getting a little tight on time here. But
Yeah.
I do think that one thing I'd love to just throw in here is that sometimes I think we look at this stuff and we think, oh, well, I'm just going to go to the doctor. And it's not one or the other. Again, it can be both. Like, yeah, if you're having throat problems, like I actually did about a year and a half ago, the first thing, of course, is I went to the doctor and I said, is there something wrong with my throat? I wanted to know, like, am I developing polyps or what's happening? And they were able to say, like, no, everything looks okay. It looks a little swollen. But then they wanted to give me a pile of drugs to try and take care of it. And it's completely up to you, of course, whether you believe that that's the path or not. But in addition to going to my regular doctor, I explored this, and I definitely found some truth that the physical thing I was experiencing was very much based in a connection to the throat chakra.
Awesome. Yeah. I've got a throat chakra singing bowl. So if I'm feeling like I'm stuck, because it also goes to writing, which I know you do some writing too. So if I'm trying to write something, I get stuck, I'll just get my bowl and I'll kind of put it next. Because again, it's all about energy and vibration. So vibration can clear energy too. So there's lots of ways, which we will talk very briefly about, what you can do to work on these too. So you're right, we are getting close on time. So I'm going to move on to the third eye. So third eye is our intuition, right? That's your, I knew that relationship wasn't going to work out, or I knew I should have left that job 6 months ago. It's that niggling voice that we block or we don't necessarily hear. And when we do the meditation, we're going to take that third eye and turn it inside. This is also connected down to the solar plexus. So the third eye is the knowing and the solar plexus is the feeling, right? So that gut, that's why they say, do you feel it in your gut? It's the gut feeling that something isn't right. And our intuition is making that connection to it. So what happens is this is often connected to people who are afraid of that spiritual voice, or they're afraid to hear messages. And so they'll block it. They'll say, nope, I'm not going to pay attention to that. I'm going to use my logic and I'm going to make a list and I'm going to follow that list and I'm going to move forward, even if I'm going off the cliff. And they block that third eye. And what can happen is you can have eye issues. You can get headaches if you do that. So just letting your intuition flow, whether you decide to act on it or not is up to you, but you don't want to block it or pretend like it's not there, because you could manifest some of those things in regards to your physically, in regards to eyes, ears, in that third eye chakra. Okay, so then we move up to the crown. So if the root is the base for keeping us stable, then the crown is where the energy comes from. So the crown chakra sits a little bit above, and this is almost like a valve where we open up to receiving the 100% restoration of our energy. So as we're working to clear the chakras, then we bring in that energy from the crown. So this is that God, greater power, that moment when we say, I can't take it anymore. You throw up your hands and say, I need help. Lord, I need help. Whoever it is that you seek, universe, that allows for that energy to come in. So there is an unlimited energy that's available from the universe that we can receive and that we can visually bring into our bodies and restore with. Okay, so let's go to the next slide. So those are the chakra energies. And so again, because we are getting close to being done with our time together, how can you work on these areas? So what can you do? So you take the quiz and we're going to do the meditation today, and you're going to see if something feels like it's blocked as we're moving up. You understand now which areas are connected to which parts of our body physically. So maybe you are experiencing some feelings physically as well. So as Andrew said, the most important thing is that awareness. Come back into your body. Don't be out there. And then you can do meditation. So if you go to YouTube, YouTube, which is incredible. You can find meditations that are specific for individual chakras. So you can say, I need a meditation for opening my sacral chakra. And so there'll be music and a guided meditation that goes along specifically with that. So there are guided meditations for the entire system, or you can have something that's specific to what you're working on. Okay. And then the next one is, I don't have my glasses on, I can't see it. Essential oils. Yeah. So there are specific essential oils. Thank you, Andrew. There are specific essential oils that are connected to each of these chakras. So for example, vetiver is connected to the trees and the earth. And so that would be a root chakra oil. And then we have frankincense, which is a much lighter, prettier, heady scent that's connected in the upper realm. So you can find out more if you'd like to work with essential oils. So when you wear these essential oils, it reminds you that you're working on this area, basically. Because remember, it all goes back to our thoughts and emotions and how they connect in our body. And then the same thing with crystals. So I was talking about black tourmaline earlier with Andrew being an incredible grounding stone. So because I twisted my ankle the other day, I had a friend, I cycle as well, and I had a friend who had a really bad accident, and she said, I'm super shaky now. And so I gave her a beautiful piece of black tourmaline, and I said, always carry this with you because it's a stabilizer. So it's really grounding. So you can sleep with them, or you can wear them, carry them around with you. I wear yoga pants a lot, so I just put the crystal right into the yoga pocket, and then I hear it in the dryer as it tumbling and lots of noise. I'm like, oh, I'm now tumbled. It's a tumbled stone, so it gets more shiny. And then wearing the color. So today I'm wearing purple, as you can see, because I wanted to have the inspiration when I taught yoga this morning at 6:30, and then we were doing this today. So I pulled the purple t-shirt, which, you know, I'm in the industry and usually wear black a lot too, and black is great, shows off our hair color, but I wanted to wear a color today that fit in here. So if you're specifically working on, like I was working on my sacral chakra for a couple of years there, wearing orange would help to brighten that, to bring the color out and remind me of that. So there's lots of ways to learn more. So you can do a Google search, and again, great stuff on YouTube as well. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to do a guided meditation, and it's going to be about 10 minutes long, and we have 3 minutes left. So is that okay?
That's okay. It doesn't have to end right at the end. And, if I know that some of you do probably, maybe you have to get ready for work or something like that.
Right.
But if you want to come back, please know that all of these videos are available for replay on our Facebook and our YouTube channel. All the links to be able to get in connection with Mary, all the links that she's talked about, all of those will be in the description of the video. So if you do jump off, don't worry, you can come back and you can do the meditation later too. But if you have the time, please stay.
Mm-hmm. Great. Okay, so what I'd like everyone to do is find yourself in a comfortable seated position. So it doesn't have to be like the girl in the picture. So whatever you feel like you can hold for 8 to 10 minutes. Now we do want this to be seated. You can do it lying down, but as I talked about before, since the energy runs up and down the body in regards to the chakras, it is better to be seated. So even if you're doing it, anytime you're doing chakra clearing, you want to do that seated. So comfortable seated position. So if it's even leaning against something, that's going to give your back support, but sitting with that as straight of a spine as you can, placing both feet flat on the floor. So I'm going to do that right now too. Placing both feet flat on the floor. So feel the bottoms of your feet right now and have that connection to the earth. So even if you're in a building where I'm on the 4th floor of a building, so my roots are going to go a little bit further to connect to the earth, but we're going to start by making that connection and connecting with the breath. So roll your shoulders back, place your hands face down on the tops of your legs, and then just gently let your eyes flutter shut. So close your eyes and then begin that deep breath. In through the nose to the count of 4, and then out through the nose to the count of 4. We're going to do that 3 times. That's our second. And one last time. So feeling the bottoms of your feet. Imagine that you can grow roots out of your heels and the pads of your feet, so up by your toes. So puncture through the floor with those roots and then press them down into the earth so that you feel that you are completely supported down into the earth. And as we go further and further into the earth, our roots actually intertwine together so that we're able to feel that support with each other, of each other, as we're restoring our energy, starting with our connection to earth. I would like you to visually see that you have this beautiful red glowing ball that's about 5 or 6 inches right out in the front of you, just above your knees. And see this beautiful red glowing light. So it's a gorgeous red color. And begin to spin that orb in one direction or the other. So it doesn't matter which way you spin it. Just begin to move it in one direction and see the beautiful red glow. And as you do, know that you are safe, that you have everything that you need, and that the world is plentiful and can provide you with what you need. You are grounded, solid, strong, physically able, capable of regenerating and restoring every cell in your body to its cleanest, purest, strong self. As you spin that red orb, see if there's any sparks that want to fly off of it so you can clean it up and polish it. Any thoughts, fears, concerns that you have right now, allow them to release from your lower extremities. Allow them to clean your root chakra energy. And now as you take your next deep breath in, and release, move your energy about 4 inches above that, straight out from the center of your belly button, and see a gorgeous orange orb, almost like a beautiful orange from Florida or California, shiny, beautiful. Begin to spin it in the same exact direction as you did your root chakra. And as you do, know that you are beautiful, attractive, desirable, pure in your loving intentions, and creative. If you feel any past relationships or guilt towards behaviors that won't allow you to see that beautiful orange glow, begin to spin the orb and let any sparks fly off of it that stop you from having intimate relationships and creative interactions. And then with your next deep breath in, bring your attention a little higher than that, straight out from the middle of your ribs, and see a gorgeous yellow glow. Like the sun, bright yellow, and connect with your sense of purpose, your sense of self. Do you feel like you're living your best life? And are you being true to yourself? Release any connections to people that you feel have power over you or that you need to have power over, and allow that beautiful yellow glow to shine. And now see all three. So see your root chakra spinning in red, your sacral chakra spinning in orange, with your beautiful sense of self, solar plexus chakra spinning above that. So keep all three moving in the same direction. And as you take a deep breath in, bring your attention to your heart and see out in front of that this gorgeous green, bright green, beautiful glow. Open up your heart. Feel your heartbeat. Feel your heartbeat in your heart. Feel your heartbeat out in that green orb. And feel your heart connected to the other lower chakras. Allow your heart to swell. Open with love. You have capacity for more love, to give and to receive. Know that you are deeply loved already, and keep your heart open and pure by spinning it now. See if there's any sparks that fly off of this beautiful green orb. Feel your heartbeat. Continue your deep breathing. And as you take your next inhale, bring your attention up to your throat. I'd like you to swallow right now and see how that feels. Is it with ease or difficulty? And see out in front of your throat a beautiful turquoise orb sitting right above your heart chakra and spinning in the same direction. As you do, know that your voice is important, that the words you choose are important, and that people want to listen to you and hear what you have to say. Spin that beautiful turquoise orb in the same direction as your heart chakra. And if there's any feelings of lack in regards to being heard, allow that to spin. Allow the sparks to fly off. Allow this to help you find the words for your next important conversation. And then as you breathe in, bring your attention up to the third eye. So the third eye sits right between your two eyes. And turn that eye, blink that eye inward. And as you look in, know that whatever you need to know is already in you. That you will have guidance and information connected down to your solar plexus, to your sense of self and purpose, as you begin to see a gorgeous purple amethyst glow out between your two eyes. Begin to gently spin that in the same direction as your throat chakra. So spinning in the same direction, clear out any negative energy or thought here. Allow that third eye to be open. Turn your third eye back out again. Blink it open, just the third eye, so that you have an awareness and an openness to information that you might need. And now bring your attention to the top of your head, to the crown chakra, and imagine that it is a trap door, and you're going to throw the door open to this beautiful bright white light that's going to pour down through, sense of source, restoring your energy to all of the remaining chakras. So send that white light powerfully down through your third eye, into your throat, into your heart, into the solar plexus, down through the sacral chakra, into your root chakra. Feel that powerful grounding all the way down into the roots, connecting with each other, and send that energy all the way back up again. Feel the white light. Feel the restored power. Sending it all the way back up again through each chakra. And then send that power down again, all the way into the earth, feeling 100% power. Draw your roots back up from the earth, all the way up, back into your feet. Wiggle your fingers and toes. Feel yourself present in your body with your energetic fields open and clear. Go ahead and open your eyes.
Thank you, Mary.
Hope everyone feels great. And thank you for hanging with us.
Absolutely. Thank you. That was really, really beautiful. Great way to start my day, that's for sure. So just tell us how we can stay in touch with you, how we can make sure the audience has a way to connect with you.
Okay, so we, as you know, we've been talking a lot about Anne, and over the years doing our retreat together, a lot of people said that they loved the way that we presented. And of course, we've had many years, many great trainers working in the L'Oreal world for as long as we did. We had incredible trainings that were provided to us. And so Anne and I put together a program which is called I Am a Great Presenter. And then my wonderful husband, Philip, who is an incredible platform artist. So the three of us together will be teaching this program called I Am a Great Presenter in August. It's going to be via Zoom. So Anne will be up in Oregon and we'll be here wherever we are. We'll be here. We might be on the road. And we'll be doing these 3 dates in August and then a little coaching session in the middle. And we made it really an incredible price at $125 for non-members of Wilson Collective. So, and $75 for any active members. So that's the website. I'm a Great Presenter. And then the best way to stay connected to us, of course, to learn more about Wilson Collective, which is our company that we started just over a year ago. You can learn more on our website at Wilson Hair Collective. And then we have a private Facebook group. So very much like Sam and his team, we believe that education should be kept to the professionals. And so it's called Wilson Collective Pros Only. And that's where you can also learn about what we're doing. That's where we'll have the dates for the retreat next year, which is called Destination Rejuvenation. So we always do that. Annie and I do that the first weekend in May. And we've got some other great things that are happening too. So we'd love for you professionals to join us on Wilson Collective Pros Only page.
Cool.
And that's us.
Like I said, I'll make sure that we have all that information in the description on the video so that you guys have those links, because I know people will ask, can you say that one more time? So I'll make sure it's in the description.
Yeah, right, all the time.
But thank you so much, Mary. We really appreciate your time. And, you know, I guess just, you guys probably don't know this, but everyone that comes on the show, they're donating their time just to help to share some content with you, to hopefully help you with wellness, especially during COVID and all the other amazing challenges we're facing in our beautiful world today.
Final words, present in your body. Know that you're responsible for your own energy and that, you know, it is replenishable. We got to catch ourselves when we're going to that, you know, to that negative place and move back into the positive place. And part of that is going into your body.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. And just to let you know, we do have some upcoming events. Next Tuesday, Sammy has Christopher Benson coming on Tuesday with Sammy with him.
Cool.
And it's going to be so much fun because they did a collaboration with Cut and Color Mary that they're going to talk about collaboration. They're going to talk about the cut and color that they collaborated on. The following Friday, I actually don't know who the guest is. So I'm having a hard time getting a confirmation from a few people, but you will find out sometime next week. But then that Sunday, the 28th, we have such a cool program coming up. So on Sunday, the 28th, we're doing a thing called Fabric of Change. It's a fundraiser for the National Black Justice Coalition, and it's featuring all Black educators and artists to really show our industry how powerful these people are, because they have not had a platform like we have, honestly, to be able to showcase themselves. So Sam said, we want to use our platform and bring to our viewers the beauty that exists within our community. So it's going to be huge, and we're just so excited for it.
That's so cool. The whole day.
The whole day.
Oh my gosh. I got to tune in for that. That's great. Yeah. Cool.
So guys, thank you so much. We'll see you next Friday for another episode. And again, thank you very much, Mary.
Thank you. It was my pleasure. Bye, everyone.